Welcome to MELfeed.video. We are commencing a live web stream service via youtube.com from Echuca, Australia. We currently conduct these streams on Monday evenings, with other times to be added as more opportunities arise. Please visit our website MELfeed.video for further information. This web video project presents old and new community TV programs. Please enjoy your stay with MELfeed.video.
Hi and welcome to MELfeed.video for this Australia Day edition for the Australia Day holiday, at least on the 28th of January 2019. Coming up next is NAT Chat, which will be a double episode tonight, and then at 9 o'clock Harmony University with Norm. Red Lobster Poetry at 9:30 rather. 15 fabulous minutes with Jacqueline and Steve at 10 o'clock. And then Transports of Distant Delight, the third episode of a special series for MELfeed at 10:30, and then we'll close up for the night at 10:45. But for now, here's the first episode of NAT Chat, and just a reminder that we'll be going into a second episode straight after, and then Harmony University at 9 o'clock. So see you then.
Hello and welcome to NAT Chat. I'm Mirella Rich. Today our guest is Janet Murray-Wakelin, who's married to Alan Murray, who they ran around Australia for 366 days, and they did one marathon a day. Welcome to the program, Janet.
Thank you.
And also I meant to say as well, you've also conquered cancer, but your husband couldn't be here today, but you've done amazing things all on a raw vegan diet.
Yes, that's right.
Low-fat raw vegan.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
And can you tell us a little bit about, first of all, how you conquered cancer?
Well, I had a diagnosis of cancer about almost 14 years ago now.
Yeah.
And at the time they gave me 6 months to live.
Wow.
And so I decided at that very moment that that wasn't enough. And there's many reasons, obviously, for that. But
of course, yeah.
I just tried to find out what I could at the time that would make a difference to that prognosis.
And what sort of things did you do to conquer
Well, first of all, I looked at what I could do for myself, because it didn't make sense to me to, just go along with the prognosis. I wanted to try and change that.
Yeah.
So I looked at what I could do in the way of what I was eating, how my lifestyle was going, what I was doing, the choices I was making, and how I could change everything to 100% positive and the best I could do for me.
In every avenue?
In every avenue. And with those choices, I did change that prognosis. So within that 6 months that I was given to basically die, everything was turned around, and I had no longer had cancer. And from that point on, my husband and I decided that we would continue in that direction, because clearly that was the most healthy thing for us. And over the years we found that it was also a healthy thing for others and the planet as well.
Wow. And did you pray as well while you went to really get help and inspiration to conquer this cancer?
Oh, that was the first thing I did.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And also I used a lot of visualization.
Yeah.
But the main thing was to go within.
Yeah.
I really needed to find who I was and what I meant to me. And I think that's the crucial thing for most people, to be able to take control of their own health and their own lives and make the decisions for themselves that are going to make the difference.
They're going to make the difference.
Yeah.
And how did you find the raw vegan diet? How did you come across it along the way?
Well, it made sense. I was already vegan and had been vegetarian and vegan for pretty much most of my life. And that happened very early on when I was very small, and I literally couldn't chew the meat.
Yeah.
And so my mother said, so long as you eat your fruit and vegetables, you'll be getting the nutrients you need. And I never really thought about it.
Good mum, yeah.
But that made sense,
Wow,
and it certainly
yeah.
made sense to her. And she wasn't telling me, yes, it's okay to be vegetarian. She was just saying that she wanted to make sure I got
At least
nutrients.
you ate that, yeah.
And from then on, that's the direction I went. It wasn't until a little later on that I realised, having a great love for animals, that I wouldn't want to eat them,
Yeah.
or be a part of what, you know, may mean that they're going to be killed or harmed in any way. So a lot of the decisions, the lifestyle decisions that I've made, that not only have made a difference to my health,
Yeah.
has also obviously made a difference to the health of all living beings and the planet. Because, for instance, some of those decisions to do with not using any kind of chemicals or that type of thing, that is obviously clearly not good for our health, but it's also not good for the planet and for other living beings.
And did you start the raw vegan diet, the low-fat raw vegan diet, when you had the cancer, or was it before that?
No, went into 100% raw vegan diet, so not cooking any of the food, to make sure that I could get 100% nutrients from the food.
Yeah.
Because I wanted that 100% result for my body. So I figured if I was going to be helping my body to get healthy, I needed to give it 100%.
Yeah.
And that was the initial reason for not cooking the foods, for it to be raw, and then starting to research the different nutrients that you can get from different foods. Then clearly it became very obvious to me that fruits and vegetables was where I was going to get 100% nutrients. That was going to make a difference.
And did you stay 100% on that as soon as you discovered it, or did you have waivers going back and forth?
A little bit, probably
and stuff?
about during that first 6 months, I was pretty much juicing all the time, because I also, I also realised that if the body was going to be using a lot of the energy to digest food, then it would be better to have it as juice, so that energy was preserved for rejuvenating the body and changing things. So I was pretty much juicing just vegetables mostly during that time, and then during the next 3 or so months, there was the odd time when I might eat something vegan just because it was there, or not for any real reason, but I always felt like, oh, that didn't do it for me. Whereas when I was eating the 100% raw food, I could feel the energy, the more energy, and I could feel I was getting better, and the results that I was getting from tests were proving that. So
speaking for themselves.
Yeah.
Wow, that's beautiful. And did someone tell you about the raw vegan diet, or did you just do your own research?
Yeah, I did my own research. I mean, at that time, 14 years ago, there wasn't a lot of, there was no social networking, or there wasn't a lot on
YouTube,
anything like that.
Yeah.
But, I just started to look up books. I mean, there's people that have been talking about having a raw vegan or raw living lifestyle and eating that foods for health for many, many years. You can go back almost centuries. So the information's there. Yeah. The impetus is wanting to find out for yourself.
And many viewers may ask this question. Since you're cured now, you did your raw vegan diet, you're cured of the cancer, clean bill of health, why would you still be doing it when you're okay now? Have a holiday, have a rest from it.
Why would you stop doing something that works?
Yeah.
And that's the way I feel. It works so well. It was so obvious that that's what makes you healthy, by making healthy choices, that if I wanted to continue living in a healthy way, in a state of optimum health, then that's what I would keep doing. But I also have found over that time that it's so much easier. So a lot of people might think, oh, that's really difficult, but in actual fact, it's very easy and very simple way to live. And the body really responds to it in a way that makes you more healthy and more energetic, and therefore it's easier.
All right, well, we'll have to go to a break now.
Yeah.
You're watching NAT Chat. We'll be back very shortly.
I'm able to dream, I'm able to smile, I'm able to grow, and I'll go the extra mile. one day at a time. So put your hands together. We can change lives forever. Together, we're able.
Able Australia. Together, we're able.
I'm able to dream, I'm able to smile, I'm able to grow, and I'll go the extra mile, one day at a time. So put your hands together. We can change lives forever. Together, we're able.
Able Australia. Together, we're able.
To every child's development, an important message from the Australian Toy Association.
Hi, I'm Darren McElwain from Air FM Drive. You can tune into my show from 3 to 6 p.m. on 88.0 in Penrith and also on tunein.com. And apparently, we don't throw rocks. Air FM Drive.
For the first time in many years, Northern Access TV's General Interest Magazine show, etc., will be seen again on MELfeed.video. The show covered many interesting topics around Melbourne and is well worth seeing again. It all starts next week on MELfeed.video, so join us from next week for etc. on MELfeed.video.
Hello and welcome back to NAT Chat. I'm Mirella Rich. If you've just joined us, we're with Janet Murray Wakelin, and she's talking about her run around Australia and her health and conquering cancer and all these wonderful things she's done on a low-fat, raw vegan diet. Welcome back to the program, Janet.
Thank you.
Now, how many years have you been doing the raw vegan? 14 years, is
100% raw.
100% 14. And during
14.
that time, or even now, or maybe in the first couple of years, did you ever feel tempted to go back to the old way of eating and think, oh, I'd really love whatever your favourite food used to be, pasta or potatoes or roast potatoes or whatever?
Well, in the first probably 6 months, there were times when I actually did eat something that wasn't, it was always vegan, but that was cooked.
Yeah.
And I always didn't feel right. And so it doesn't take long for you to get the message.
Yeah.
I felt great when I wasn't, when I was eating 100% raw, and didn't feel that good when I wasn't. The thing that a lot of people don't understand is that when you do go 100% raw plant-based diet, your body responds in a way that you get to a point of, over time to optimal health. So when you are feeling optimally healthy, then you really don't see any reason to go back to eating something that doesn't give you that optimum state of health. The other thing is that, a lot of people talk about cravings.
Yeah.
The only reason you have a craving is if you have an addiction. And if you're no longer actually eating addictive foods, you no longer crave the foods. It does take a little while for that addiction to leave, but over time the body helps you to go in that direction. There are times now where I look at food, I really look really hard at some of the processed foods that's out there, and I cannot recognize it as food. It does not look even, like it doesn't make me think, oh, I really want to eat that. So cravings, no, I don't have any cravings, which makes it very easy to be 100% raw vegan.
And what about the thought, the memory? Like some people maybe they've done it for a long time. Maybe they did it for 6 months. So they're over coffee, they're over pizza and all that. And then they think about it and think, oh, or their mum's favourite dish that she made them like years ago, and they think, I love that, you know.
Yeah.
Pasta with pesto, oh, memories, like that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And it's just the memory, it's not the craving anymore, because they're actually clean their body out for the 6 months.
Yes.
So, and they break it on it.
Yes. Well, there are ways to assimilate those kinds of meals and foods and recipes with raw vegan food.
Yeah.
You can have anything from very simple foods, like just literally eating an apple, to turning that into an incredible apple pie. That is still raw, therefore it's not been denatured and it still has all its nutrients.
Yeah.
And is absolutely delicious. So there is such a thing as raw vegan cuisine that is gourmet. And you can, you know, there's restaurants that serve it, and you can certainly do that at home if you wish. And so, you know, there's ways to assimilate those different, and in most cases, people, even people who are not 100% raw vegan, will notice that they actually taste better.
Yeah, yeah.
And
absolutely.
so they, you know, they enjoy it more. So just, you know, going through those transitional time for a lot of people.
Yeah.
You know, it's not that easy to change, go 100% raw plant-based.
Yeah.
So a lot of people like to transition, and in doing so you can, you know, try these different recipes, try out different things. But what I have found in my experience is that the cravings disappear completely.
And that's because you fill up on enough raw vegan food so that you're not even hungry, you're actually full.
Exactly.
You don't even crave them anymore.
You're nourished, fully nourished.
Yeah.
And there's a difference between that and feeling full.
Yeah.
So you could eat as much pasta as you want until finally you feel full, but are you nourished?
Yeah.
Probably not.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
They say there's a lot of very overweight people that are fed really, they've got enough food in them. The only thing is they still want more because they're not actually nourished. They're not eating raw food. They're eating pasta, chips, pizza, and they're full on that.
Yeah. So they're overfed and undernourished.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, beautiful. And tell us about your wonderful run around Australia, 366 days, a marathon a day.
Yeah.
How did tell us a little bit about that? Give us some insight into how it was and how you did it.
Well, it was an amazing experience for sure. But the reason why we did it was because we really became very passionate about wanting to share the information that we have and the experience that we've had in changing our lifestyle to something so much better than what it was before. And so we just came up with the idea that if we were out there for a whole year doing something that shows by example what is possible on a raw vegan diet, making conscious lifestyle choices, then that is the best way to show, you know, to give somebody the idea or the impetus to be impressed and inspired enough to be motivated to make some of those choices for themselves.
And is it okay to ask how old you both were when you did this run around Australia?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I was 64 to 65 and Alan was 68 to 69. Wow. So you're never too old, and you're certainly never too young to make changes that are going to make a difference. And what we found was every step of the way we got healthier, more energy, so we didn't get more tired as it got further into it. So, you know, we were rebuilding, rejuvenating overnight from the physical exercise that was happening, because a marathon is 42.2k every single day. So just training for one is about 6 months, usually at the least, for somebody to do one marathon a year. But to do them consecutively, one after the other, every single day for 366 days, that's a whole different story.
That's beautiful. Well, we're going to have to go to a break now, but we'll continue on that. You've been watching NAT Chat. We'll be back very shortly.
The thing I love about Australia is our spirit of mateship and togetherness. And whether it's a drought, a flood or a bushfire, when times are tough, Australians stick together. Well, I'll be spending Australia Day at Tamworth with 40,000 country music mates. It brings people together to celebrate our music and our great country.
Get together on Australia Day. Go to australiaday.org.au to find out how.
1 in 5 of us are affected.
10% of us will have at least one.
And the numbers double for Indigenous Australians.
Just as quick as a click of your fingers, it can happen to anyone at any time.
What would you do if someone close to you was having a seizure?
Imagine if it was your child.
My brother has it. My sister has it.
I have it.
I have it too.
You're not alone.
You're not different.
And you have a bright future ahead of you.
So click for kids.
I'm Amy Lee, and I'm part of it.
Transports of Distant Delight is a mixed selection of transportation pictures from here and there and almost everywhere, but not quite. Some quirky, some mundane, some from the past, perhaps reflecting a transit system that has vanished into history, and some from thriving transport entities that continue to endure despite the constant pressures from the all-pervasive motor car. Enjoy.
Fabulous minutes every week. Meet the famous, the fortunate and the fashionable as Steve and Jacqueline take you to all the events around town. Not to be missed, it's the most fabulous 15 minutes you'll ever see.
Hello and welcome back to NAT Chat. I'm Mirella Rich and we're here with Janet Murray Wakelin, and she's talking about her run around Australia in 366 days, doing a marathon a day with her husband, Alan, and we're talking also about how she's conquered cancer and lots of wonderful things about being a raw vegan on a low-fat raw vegan diet. Welcome back to the program.
Thank you.
And so on this run around, how did you feel after each run? Like how long did each run take?
Well, every day was different because, we had different things happening each day and the terrain was different and the weather conditions were different. But overall, we averaged around 6.5 hours running time.
Wow.
And the reason for that, what we consider to be a slow marathon, is because we were doing them consecutively 366.
Yeah.
So we wanted to be able to finish the whole run from beginning to end, and to do that, we had to make sure that was kept at a relatively slower pace.
Yeah, well, that's good. So you paced yourself a bit, and you didn't have to do it. Did you have to do it in a certain amount of time?
Well, we started every day. We got up at 4 o'clock every day in the morning, and we were on the road by 5. Mm-hmm. And that was basically, we wanted to get going early because of the temperature. Mm-hmm. So to try and be there on the coolest time of the day, because at some places we were in very, very hot temperatures. Mm. And for that 6 hours running time, we would go probably about 15k for the first lot, when our support crew would catch us up, give us some bananas or oranges or whatever we needed, and we would carry on, just like you do in a normal marathon, competitive marathon, where you stop for a break to have some drink or whatever, depending on the situation of the day. And because we were running consecutive marathons, we did need to eat a little more than what you would normally do in one competitive marathon. So sometimes it would take longer. We also had other interruptions, and sometimes we were doing interviews, so we would have to go into a studio like we are now, go and do that, and then go back on. That didn't happen very often because we didn't really want to break up the running time. Yeah. So when we could do it, we did our interviews while running.
So they had to run along with you or drive along?
No, it was done by telephone. And we did have some TV crews came out and filmed us while we were running as well, because a lot of TV was done throughout the run, not only in Australia but around the world. So we had actual TV crew come in from around the world as well.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's
and joined
amazing.
us for 2 or 3 days on the run as well.
So they travelled from overseas?
Yep,
wow.
yeah. We had a German crew and a New Zealand crew and another one from, can't quite remember, but they came in and joined us because once we'd got about halfway, people really realised that this was actually happening.
Yeah.
When we first started, I think that a lot of people doubted that we were going to do much more than maybe even 2 weeks, because it's unheard of.
Yeah.
But then when we got to more than halfway around the country, so we actually ran a marathon every day in a constant run. So we ran, we would run one day, the 43, we averaged 43k every day. We would stop there for the night, and then the next day we start right where we finished up. Yeah. So it was a continuous run all the way around the country, the perimeter of Australia, including Tasmania. Yeah. So this was something.
Oh, you went to Tasmania as well?
Absolutely. Apparently, it's part of Australia.
Of course it is. I just didn't. I just was looking at the map of Australia, and I'm thinking that's what you did.
Yes. No.
I didn't realise you went down.
As well.
So how did you caught a ship or you?
Yes. Well, we ran to the ferry.
Yeah.
We took the overnight ferry because we'd finished that day's marathon.
Yeah.
And in the morning we ran off the ferry, and we did the same coming back.
Oh, that's so magical.
So it was a continuous run around the whole of the country.
Oh.
And that way, we managed to do something that had never been done before.
Yeah, and it was 366 days every day.
Yes, because we did that extra marathon to actually break a record. Mm-hmm. So 365 consecutive marathons was the world record. Yeah. So we now hold the world record for consecutive marathons. That's one a day, every single day, because we did 366. So that last one, when we came back into Melbourne, where we'd started a year before, we actually then ran from Melbourne out along the River Trail to our home, 45k away for the last day. So that was wonderful.
Gosh, so you added extra on as well. Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And how did you recuperate? Like after you finished and you got back into the caravan to sleep, how did you recuperate? Did you spend much time? What did you do after the run?
Well, at the end of each day's run, we would have a lot to eat.
Yeah.
So usually, we'd start with a fresh juice. We had a juicer on board, and we would have some vegetable juice to just get those nutrients back in so we weren't depleted. And then we would have some more food, so usually a big salad, something like that. And then we would catch up on all the internet stuff if we had internet, because it's not available all the way around the country. So there was a lot of catching up to do to make sure that all our followers were still kept up with what was happening.
Yeah.
And sometimes we would do an interview or something like that would be happening as well. But we tried to get at least 8 to 9 hours sleep every night. Didn't always work out that way, unfortunately, but that's what we tried to get, because that's your rejuvenation time.
Yeah.
So then in the next morning we were up at 4 again and out the door by 5.
Beautiful. And you've also written 2 books here, haven't you?
Yes, I have. The first one is The Raw Can Cure Cancer, and that's based on my journey with cancer and going into raw vegan lifestyle. And the second one is Running Out of Time, which is aptly named.
Yeah.
It's based on the run around Australia and the reason why we did it. So there's a lot of information in there about how and why we did it.
And they've made a documentary with you.
Yes.
For the Cairns Film Festival that we're showing.
As we speak, the documentary, which is called Raw, the documentary, that will be, we're finishing up doing the final post-production at the moment, and we will be taking it to the Cannes Film Festival in May this year, and that's the idea, is to get distribution worldwide so that people worldwide will be able to get this really positive message, as shown by example, what is possible.
There's so much to talk about. We'll have to have you on. We'll definitely have you on again.
Oh, so be my pleasure.
Beautiful. We can elaborate and just share this goodness with everybody.
Absolutely.
Thanks for coming on, Janet. It's lovely to have you here.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
You've been watching NAT Chat. I'm Mirella Rich and our guest was Janet Murray Wakelin. Hope you enjoyed the program and we'll see you again soon.
Live streamed from Echuca each week, this is MELfeed.video, a different sort of TV.
Hello and welcome to NAT Chat. I'm Mirella Rich. Today our guest is Jack Pentazis, who is a professional musician and his main passion is jazz. And also he's a teacher as well at a college in Melbourne. Welcome to the program, Jack.
Thank you for having me, Mirella. Thank you.
Pleasure. Can you tell us a bit about yourself, a bit of your background, what inspired you to start playing music and how you were drawn to it?
Yeah, sure. I think it's the simple reply is, I guess we were in a household with music from a very young age, having a father who was a professional musician, a pianist. So we always had music around the home, a variety of different music, from classical, Latin, jazz, all sorts of stuff, semi-classical. So we always had music at home. So the passion was, I guess, a result of being fed this sound from a young age. So that's basically where it comes from, I think.
We're so influenced by our family and our relatives and everyone around us.
Absolutely. I think we're influenced in so many different ways, and I was just fortunate and blessed to have that as my background. In when you're growing up, not necessarily thinking that it would become a big part of my life, but it was certainly a big factor.
And then how did you go from there to playing as a professional?
That's a big one, Well, I think having a father as a musician, we were encouraged to learn our instruments, whatever they were, like a guitar for me, and having lessons. And so having lessons and being surrounded by musicians of a very high quality, professional musicians, we knew the amount of work we had to do as youngsters to play well. And lessons were a way of getting the information to us. Thankfully for me, I had a very good teacher, so I had a very influential teacher. And unlike a lot of other stories and other students that I've come across who go through multiple teachers to find the right person, I was again lucky to have the one person that I went to that was the person who I clicked with, I had a good rapport with, who was able to show me right from the fundamentals of theory and the instrument. For 6-7 years to do this with one person, and to do that, to find that today is very rare. I mean, because I'm a teacher, I see a lot of students who come to me who do not have that first initial impact and prolonging with one teacher. They tend to go from one teacher to another for whatever reasons. But I was just lucky to have that one teacher who had the right information, had the right manner, and I got given and fed the right things at the right time. So again, having that environment of professional musicians around us, as myself and my brother, who we're both professional musicians, we were able to practice and work hard and develop. So it wasn't something initially that we wanted to do, I think, but through time it just became more and more, yes, this is what I want to do.
And now as you play and work professionally, what's the secret to getting all the work as to someone who doesn't get as much work these days?
It's you need the passion, that's definitely, but you've got to back it up with discipline. If you don't have discipline and organisational skills, I don't think you learn them straight away, but you definitely learn that to get something done, between 1 week's lesson to the other, it teaches you that 1 week you can get something done. If it's a small task, then you get it done. If it's a bigger task, you know it's a long-term goal. It takes you a bit longer. But I suppose everything, we learn to do things in that sort of way, and I learned to practice and develop the practice routine, so to speak, so that, you know, from half an hour practice, an hour practice a day, going to 2 to 3 hours a day, was not a chore. It wasn't, no one grabbed me from the scruff of the neck to say, hey, can you go in your room and practice? It was like, you knew if you wanted to get that lesson down by the end of the week and go to the teacher and perform it for the teacher, you had to do this. And look, I'm not naturally gifted. I have to work hard. Like I still have to work hard at things. Certain skills have been developed, yes. I'm quicker at things, yes. But I know as my own sense, it takes time for me to develop things.
Well, that's beautiful to share that humility with people, because there are people out there that can be a bit negative and they think, oh, it's only because they know someone in the field, or it's only because of who you know, or I'm just...
And because I got a musician as a father doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to have the genes.
Yeah.
It might, but look, you can have the passion, but you can still be tone deaf, you know.
Yeah.
So it's just that the passion and wanting to do it, it's a good combination. But
and doing it.
And doing it. And just doing the discipline of
practice.
practicing.
Practice
exactly.
makes perfect, yeah. And keep practicing and just keep going to the gigs and keep getting more experience.
Well, that's the gigs later on. I guess working and playing and earning a living, so to speak, is the end result of this practice.
And on to your main passion, which is jazz. Tell us a little bit about that, what you do with jazz.
Big area.
Yeah.
Big area.
Beautiful music, relaxing, happy.
And and intense and exciting and stressful sometimes. Jazz is a form of music that appeals to me because of its creativeness. And that you can do many things with the one thing. Yeah. So, you know, you'll hear a lot of jazz musicians talk about jazz standards, and jazz standards are a collection of tunes that you and I know might come from a musical, like The Sound of Music, you know. Everyone knows, what's the tune?
The Fields Are...
You know, everyone knows that. It's a jazz standard.
Yeah.
But everyone who plays that in a jazz sense has a different interpretation, different take on that. And how I feel about playing that tune today I might feel differently tomorrow. And so jazz is a now type of thing where you can create things and make something sound differently from yesterday.
And is that what you like about it the most?
Yeah. It's a challenge because, you know, I'd like to do, like we all do in this jazz thing, is trying to interpret something or express oneself differently on the same thing. Sure, you can become quite bored with the theme, and that's why we write original music, but yeah. All
right, beautiful. Well, we're going to a break now, but when we get back, we'll be listening to some of your own music.
Okay.
Well, we're going to a break now, and stay tuned because we'll be listening to Jack play some jazz.
Every time you shop, the choices you make affect our community. It is important to select Australian products made by Aussie-owned companies. Our food security means quality and peace of mind. Your purchasing power keeps your dollars multiplying in our economy, keeping jobs, profits and decisions being made right here, which is better for your children.
So the next time you buy, look for the AusBuy logo. It makes all the difference.
If you were living on the streets, wouldn't you want more than just your best friend to keep you safe, warm and dry? Donate to Backpack Bed for Homeless and give warm, waterproof protection and dignity tonight. Call 1300 AusHelp.
This bank is helping to save lives. Every year, 500,000 Victorians have no idea where their next meal is coming from. Food Bank Victoria works with farmers, supermarkets and manufacturers to make sure their surplus stock ends up here to be distributed to those in need. But all of this is not enough. Right now, this bank needs interest, your interest, to support Victorians in need. If you can help, visit foodbankvictoria.org.au.
Are you playing renovation roulette? I'm John Jarrett. Now I know that deadly asbestos lies hidden in 1/3 of Aussie homes. It can be found in any home built or renovated before 1987. Lurking in walls, under floor covering, behind tiles, in roofing. Asbestos, it was used everywhere. So if you're a renovator or a tradie, you could be risking your life and the lives of others. Remember, go slow. Asbestos, it's a no-go. Visit asbestosawareness.com.au to learn what you need to know.
Hello and welcome back to NAT Chat. I'm Mirella Rich. We're here with Jack Pantazis, who is a professional musician, and now he's going to play us a beautiful piece of jazz, followed by some other music later. Welcome back, Jack.
Thank you, Mirella. It's nice to be back here again.
So, would you like to tell us a bit about the music you're going to play now?
Sure. A lot of jazz musicians, including myself, we come from playing what we call jazz standards. And jazz standards is like the building blocks of themes and melodies that we work with. And they come from a variety of places. They can come from musicals and shows and just good writers. And this particular piece, I think, comes from an old movie, 1930s movie starring John Garfield. He was a gangster type of guy, and he played, I think, the role of a violinist, would you believe? But it's a ballad, and it's called Body and Soul, and it's just a lovely old tune. And in the spirit of jazz, I'm playing it the way I would like to play it today. It's not something that I sat down arranging it, so to speak.
Okay, so, well, let's hear it.
Hear it? Yeah, okay. Sure.
Marvellous.
There you go.
That was beautiful.
That's
It's
okay.
almost like a meditation. You just feel so, you can just go anywhere with it.
Thank you.
It's just beautiful.
So that is, you know, just what I like about jazz. It's just like I'm free. If I know the topic, I know the theme, I know where it's going, and it's just using things that I've learned to express and paint. I think is the analogy with painting. It's what I can do, you know, and what this can do on the day too.
So it's kind of like you have a vision in your mind or a feeling in your mind, and you just try and put it through the music. Is that how you feel? Or?
Yeah, I think we're all of us are capable of doing things that we have learnt to do. We've got that type of mechanics, you know, and, you know, like you do your thing, you practice what you do, and when you go into your life, you do that.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing with, well, I practice certain things with harmony or melody or improvisation that I work on, so it becomes part of my vocabulary, like a new word, and then hopefully in the day-to-day actions and day-to-day dealings it comes out. And that, you know, with music, I guess with any type of act, it just takes a long time to do. I mean, you know, this is an old tune and something that I've been playing for a long time, but if it was 10, 15 years ago, it wouldn't be where it is today. And there's still a lot of things for me to work on and study and practice. So, but that's the journey. That's the journey.
Beautiful. And we've only got a couple of minutes left, but this is really beautiful. My dad, if he was alive, he would be just loving this show. Would you like to play something else?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, one of the other common standards of jazz is blues.
Yeah.
So I'll play a bit of blues for you, and yeah, we'll
okay, let's hear it.
Yeah, sure.
Beautiful. That's great. That's lovely. You can almost feel someone, like picture someone dancing on their toes to that. Anyway, we have to go to a break, but we'll be back with more.
Sure.
You're watching NAT Chat. We'll be back very soon.
It's always been my dream to represent Australia in the Olympics. Epilepsy affects nearly 250,000 Australians. Like me, most people have their seizures controlled with medication. Even today, people with epilepsy face incredible discrimination, but this prejudice is just another obstacle we can overcome. We're just as capable as anyone else, and often we have to be stronger. I promise I'll do my best for Australia. Will you do your best for me?
What I love about Australia is Adelaide Central Market. It's where I grew up, hanging out with Mum and great Auntie Kim. I see a lot of migrants buying ingredients that they need to cook dishes that remind them of their culture. And I think that's why food is such a powerful thing when it comes to people understanding each other. On Australia Day, I'm going to come to the market, buy some beautiful produce, take it home, crank out the pizza oven and have a little pool party with my mates.
Get together on Australia Day. Go to australiaday.org.au to find out how.
So how have things been going?
When a young person is diagnosed with cancer, it affects their family, their friends, their entire world. Red Kite supports young people with cancer and those around them in real ways.
Yeah, hi, it's Michael. Yeah, I'm at the hospital.
We rely on your generosity to make a positive difference in the lives of thousands of families every year. We can't always make things better, but with your help, we can lighten the load.
Hello and welcome back to NAT Chat. I'm Mirella Rich and our guest is Jack Pandazis, and he's a professional musician and he also plays music of all genres, but his main passion is jazz, and he also teaches music, he started his own band, many more. So welcome back to the program.
Thank you, Mirella.
Can you tell us a little bit about where you've performed with your music?
Sure. I guess when we say my music, sometimes most of the time it's not my music.
Yeah, with the bands.
But I've been fortunate to play in musical pit orchestras, filling in for some friends of mine, pit orchestras, doing Wicked, Lion King, Mamma Mia, sort of shows you see at the Regent, the Palace, the Majesties, and working under conductors and so forth. So, and those musicals, as most people would be aware,
yes,
encompasses all styles of music. You know, I've had to play ukulele to a banjo to normal guitars to class, all sorts of things. So
wow,
all sorts of music and classical inspired music and so forth, and rock. You know, like the Wicked show had quite a lot of rock in it. So it's all challenging. Then I've done some orchestral work with a little while ago with the Australian Pops Orchestra, performing at Hamer Hall, most of the times at Hamer Hall or at the Sydney Opera House, and these are orchestras, they're 80-piece orchestras. So again, working under conductor and playing a variety of music, some classical, some jazz, a lot of show tunes, but with 20, 30 strings in like a symphony orchestra. And then the last few years I've been very fortunate, last 12, 13 years playing with the Daryl Mackenzie Jazz Orchestra. And Daryl Mackenzie is a very well-known Melbourne Australian musician. Most people remember him by, he was the musical director for Hey Hey It's Saturday for a long time. And so, Daryl is well respected. And this band is an 18-piece big band, jazz big band. So it's in the tradition of the big band era, but we play modern Australian compositions. They're original compositions. They're written by us in the orchestra. And there's a number of really good writers in that orchestra. We've got 4 CDs under the Daryl Mackenzie Jazz Orchestra. You can Google them, folks, and check them out. But it's, again, quite an honour to play with some very, very fine musicians and performing the last Monday of every month at the Apartment in Little Bourke Street here in Melbourne. That's the last Monday of every month from 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock. And we always have a guest vocalist. We've had, last month was Wilbur Wilde, we've had Rhonda Birchmore, Nina Farrer, some great singers, and always featuring a guest student, because we're all teachers, and we always bring a student to perform one tune with the band. So, and then there's my quintet, the Jack Pandazis group, and I have 2 CDs out with my original material. I think you can get them on iTunes. Yes, you can get them on iTunes. And that's something else that it's more of a indulging me doing my thing. But it's challenging to write. I'm not a gifted writer.
Your own music?
Yeah, it's all original music, and that's another journey altogether, developing the writing skills. So the playing has taken me from concert halls to restaurants to studios and all sorts of things. The Victorian Arts Centre, for example, doing shows there. So it's a variety of environments and venues, and that's what being a professional musician is all about. In my eyes and the eyes of my colleagues, we are out there doing lots of things, from weddings to bar mitzvahs to 21st, to all sorts of things, to jazz gigs, to big band gigs, to orchestral gigs, to backing whoever, and that's what we strive to try and do, and to sustain a living from it.
That's beautiful. Well, you must have built quite a good reputation for yourself to be involved in so many large things, really.
Yeah, reputation comes from hard work.
Yes.
And it comes from dedication, and it comes from respect with people that you work with. Most of the time, I'd have to say I work, it sounds bad, I work with a lot of good people who I learn a lot from. And I learn from these experiences that develops me as a musician, develops me as a professional. And I think it's honest to say that in any profession it's people skills. If you don't have people skills, no matter what you do, it's networking, how good you're playing, or how good a typewriter you are, a typist, not typewriter, it's not going to happen.
Because people want to work with you.
You need to get along with people. And music, you're with people. You're doing things all the time. So that's very, very important. So yes, practice, discipline, all the gigs, and reputation comes as a result, or a good reputation comes as a result of doing the right things at the right time and preparing.
Well, that's good to help other people who are interested in entering in that field. Just to give them a bit of encouragement, so if they do have that gift as well, like you do, they can have hope with it. They don't have to give up, because
it's slow.
They need to know the techniques.
They've got to just remember
it.
It doesn't happen overnight. And for me, it's never happened overnight, and I'm still waiting for that overnight thing. It won't happen that way. It's just something that you do every day, like you do anything in your life. It's just something you just keep doing, and you know that everything that you do, there's more to learn. There's more things to do. There's more things to practice. There's more things to keep on top of. So the playing skills is very important. So you have to keep up doing all these things. So there's never an end to it. It's not a financial thing. It's not a stardom thing. It's just you do.
It's because you love to do it, and you have your vision of where you want to be with it.
And if you want to keep doing it, you've got to do these things. The practice and doing all sorts of gigs you can, and learning from people, and copying people, and understanding people, and
And I guess when you get the jobs, you think, well, this is a great job. I'm happy I got this, but you don't think it just happened easily. You know what you did to get there.
Yeah, and sometimes I have to sit back a little bit because sometimes life gets really busy and one job flows after the other, and it's not until some years go by and you go, wow, this happened or that happened. I don't tend to get wound up with it.
All right, well, thank you so much for coming on the program. It's been a joy.
Pleasure. Thank you.
You've been watching NAT Chat. I hope you enjoyed the program. I'll see you again soon.
If you choose to drink then drive,
you could ruin lives.
Someone else's,
your family's,
or your own.
Choose not to instead.
The right choice could save someone's life.
Proud supporters of safety in our community.
GMCU and Southern Cross Austereo.
Welcome. You're watching Harmony and Diversity. This program we're speaking with Nicole Pryor of St Benedict's Catholic Parish in Burwood. In our last program, we explored Nicole's spiritual development as a Catholic, an interesting story. She now does some work, amongst other things, in the RCIA, and we'll explore that today. RCIA. Explain what those initials stand for, please, Nicole.
Oh, so it's the rite of the Christian initiation of adults. Okay. So it's, and you get the same thing for children, as I think I mentioned before. And so it's a process people who want to inquire into the Catholic faith, or people who've been baptised and want to go further with being confirmed, or the next stages in that faith development, the journey that they would go on.
Okay, so it can be baptism is the core to that aspect of it. So I want to go further to become part of the faith. I'm baptised,
yes, but
I go through that RCIA
yes.
process.
Yes.
Okay. And now, there's a series of rites, etc. It's reasonably complicated from my looking at it. Could you just outline what the process is?
Yes. Well, there are the different stages, because certainly on wanting to become Catholic, you might not be quite sure that that's what you want to do. So there's that time of inquiry. So there's the first sort of initiation inquiry time. What is this course about? What would we be covering? And then there's the next stage where you're thinking, actually, yes, I would like to find out more. And so you go through this next phase. I'm even forgetting the name of it now, but you've got the initiation. And then, having learned more of the sort of fundamentals of what our Catholic faith is all about, you would then think, all right, I'm going to, there's a sort of signing of names, a commitment to, yes, I want to continue further in learning about this Catholic faith, and I would like to become a Catholic. You're not committed to anything at that stage, but having learnt about the faith, this is the journey I want to follow. And then we sort of approach, in our Catholic faith, I think in the Christian faith, Lent is an important time. It's a time where we can put ourselves, walk that journey with Jesus, put ourselves in his shoes, be with him in this time of questioning, which is very much a sort of taste of life itself. In life, we've got lots of challenges, we've got lots of trials and tribulations, but that treading through it all with that end in sight. So that's sort of largely why we taken through Lent with this, and we have those different stages through Lent where we committing ourselves a little bit further to this Catholic faith, with things like our creed, which is what I believe. It's the words of our faith, of what we believe in our faith, and that then leads up to what I think people often find quite eye-opening, is when people just in the Greater Melbourne get together for this rite of initiation at the cathedral with our bishop, which is that gathering of all together, and that looking at our being that one family, a tiny speck of that one family of this Catholic Church that we choose to follow, until at Easter. It can happen at other times, but generally speaking we try to make it Easter, because at Easter it's that very important time. In fact, it's Good Friday to Easter. It's that time leading up to the death of Jesus.
Yes.
Jesus himself, who's God in human form. And that what we go through in that death leading to the resurrection is in fact what gives us meaning in this life, that there is in fact no such thing as death, that life goes way beyond this. And it's this time of Easter where we know from much proof when we look at it of this man who defeats death. There is no such thing as death, there's life beyond death, that is this rising time, and this time where people would usually commit to their Catholic faith. And it doesn't end there, because then there's that time of mystagogy, it's called, of this Easter season, which is just as long as that time of Lent, which is us putting ourselves in the 40 days of the time in the desert. We've got that same period of time, which if we study the life of this man Jesus, we see that there's that same length of time where he's appearing to the people and showing that he's defeated death. There's that same period of time until he then says, all right, now I'm leaving you with my Holy Spirit, and I myself am joining the Father. So it's at that time, usually, that we then have people just simply as a part of the community.
Okay. So what's the duration of the RCIA process? It's many months by the sound of it.
Yes, I know that in many countries and many parishes, people choose a sort of 3-year cycle. They believe to learn the Catholic faith, you need 3 years. Not that 3 years is ever going to be enough, 30 years is not enough, but some people do choose to take a longer period of time over it, saying, you know, like any degree, you can't learn the faith in that short period of time. We here at St. Benedict's have chosen that period of time, feeling it's enough to show a glimpse of the faith, to give the knowing, and hence leave that desire to find out more, the desire to know more, realizing that it's a whole lifetime of learning.
Yes, that's very interesting. And you're making the distinction using the term faith, but clearly there's more happening there. It's the desire to open people to the potentiality of greater spiritual awareness.
Yes.
Is that?
No, certainly. I think that there's the academic side. You know, there's the fact and all of that history of the church and the facts that we base our faith on and the things that make us tick. And that's the things that we can
introduce a fact.
Indeed.
The time's out. So we'll go to a break. We'll be back in a moment.
Take it from me, one punch can be lethal. Thrown in anger like this, without warning, without any gloves, it can be deadly. One punch can end his life and ruin yours. It takes grunt to throw it, it takes guts to walk away.
Behind every great athlete, there is a great support network. Australian Athletes with a Disability and Wheelchair Sports Australia help athletes realise their full potential.
Gonna go from 3, yes!
No matter their ability, we're there to support them. Sporting opportunities for all abilities. For more information, visit sports.org.au.
My name is Logan. I'm 12 years old and I have Duchenne muscular dystrophy. My muscles are degenerating and I was put into a wheelchair 2 years ago. Soon I won't be able to move at all. The majority of people affected will not live past their 20s, including me. So we need your support to improve our quality of life until a cure is found.
For the first time in many years, Northern Access TV's General Interest Magazine show, etc., will be seen again on MELfeed.video. The show covered many interesting topics around Melbourne and is well worth seeing again. It all starts next week on MELfeed.video, so join us from next week for etc. on MELfeed.video.
Welcome back. You're watching Harmony and Diversity, and we're speaking with Nicole Pryor of St. Benedict's Catholic Parish in Burwood. We're talking about the RCIA. You raised an issue which is really paramount, I think, in this whole issue, is the faith. There's faith at two levels. There's the faith at this level and the faith at this level. The fact that this is linked into Lent and it's linked into the crucifixion, to Easter.
Yes.
What impact do you think that has on the catechumens, the people, the candidates, the people who are doing this? They're being opened up to what's the real mystical essence of the Catholic faith. What impact do you think that has on people?
Well, so coming back to the time of Lent and going through that process, I think in our Catholic faith that is such a core element because, you know, as we come to realise, our hearts are always restless until they rest in Thee. Those words, I think, are so evident in our lives, and the more we explore, the more we realise that to be the case. It's a case of the more we know, the more we realise how little we know. The deeper our relationship, the more we realise how far we've yet to go. And I think that with that, we realise that in our life, things aren't easy. And there are lots of challenges, and we're constantly being guided into other ways of, you know, what advertising and the movies and so on are telling us. And that's why in our Catholic faith, in prayer, we go into this time of Lent. And it's that quietening, deeper realization. And I think that where we are worshipping and looking at Jesus on the cross, which is what we criticized for often, that the risen Christ is not on the cross, he's there in glory, and we know that. But our daily activities, our blindness, our short-sightedness is constantly scarring others and limiting how much God can be himself in us and through us. And that is what keeps Jesus on the cross for us. That is what keeps us needing this time of Lent, this time, our time in that desert, which is where we are in these days, in our life, all the time. It's that questioning, seeking, desiring to be fed. It's this desert we are in our lives. Yes, we get our little times at the oasis, but we have a lot of that need to carry our cross. So in our Catholic faith, it's very much a case of that. We all have trials, we all have tribulations, we have hardships. We wish life were hunky-dory, but there never is a happy ever after. But on picking up that cross and carrying that cross, we have that knowing, and we get little tastes of it along the way, of what comes beyond in this very short life we live, that we get little tastes of what happens at Easter, that resurrection, that defeat of death, that which gives life meaning, that which makes us a part of the whole, the Almighty, the Eternal. And so that's what keeps us in this Lent, and that's what makes this Lent such an enriching, exciting thing. Yes, hard, but you know, as any person studying any subject or great athletes in becoming fantastic cyclists or super fit, none of it comes by sitting. You know,
all hard work.
It's all the hard work.
Yes.
And yeah.
Now, part of the process, because with your catechumens, is it weekly that they meet, or fortnightly?
Yes,
weekly?
It is weekly. So again, this is our group at St. Benedict's, and different groups might be different, and perhaps if you're doing it over a 3-year cycle, it might be otherwise. I think for people who are doing an intense session, which sometimes people might want to do when it's the funeral of a loved one, or something makes them have an urgency, or people sometimes on the deathbed, it might be quite different. And then the priorities might be different too. But here what we've chosen is this period of time where we do it once a week. And in that once a week, there's a lot of food given to chew on through the week ahead. There's that basic celebration, which we'll come to be a part of in our Catholic faith, the weekly Mass as well. And finding forms of prayer in our daily life, and ideally what becomes our every moment of existence, in the back of our thoughts, our actions, our being a living prayer, a living instrument of God.
When people are at these weekly meetings, the catechumens are not alone, are they? They have a sponsor.
Yes.
How does that work?
Well, I mean, different things, you would have incidences, and that originates, I think, because a person wanting to find out more about the faith would have an individual who's in the faith guiding them and leading them. And that's essentially what a sponsor is. But what we've come to find is that so often somebody might be motivated to become a Catholic through a friend who's a Catholic. But what we realise more and more is that people who are brought up to be Catholic go to church on Sundays, and as I know we all have a lot to learn, I've got a lot to learn, but generally speaking, Catholics themselves don't often know everything about what their Catholic faith is about. And what is this thing that I'm saying on Sunday, and what are these things I'm doing, and what is Easter, what is Lent, what is Advent, what is Easter and Christmas and things like that. So because those people often don't have enough sustenance to then feed others, we get together in a group and do it together. So people would come along to our group with their sponsor, and sponsors love it just as much.
Yes, yes. Sounds as though the sponsor might learn as much as the catechumens.
Absolutely. In fact, as we found out, we all learn. I learn. Everybody does learn. And we have our parish priests who come along and so on, and they all say, you know, everybody, how much we feed on it.
And we feed on time, and we're out of time.
Okay.
So we'll go to a break. We'll be back in a moment.
There's a difference between forgetting something once and forgetting it many times. There's a difference between forgetfulness and dementia. Talk to someone who understands. Call the National Dementia Helpline on 1800 100 500.
Most of us experience life's ups and downs, but we can always appreciate the finer details that make life worth living. But for 1 in 5 of us, mental illness can make us lose sight of the big picture. That's when Paran Mission can lend a helping hand. We've been caring for the community for over 60 years, finding a place for people with no place. Show your support and stand up for mental illness. Visit our website and make a donation today.
Here is some brilliant news for adults who have difficulties with spelling, reading a newspaper or phone bill, or writing letters and emails. It can be easier to improve your reading and writing skills than to keep putting it off. Take the plunge. Call the Reading Writing Hotline, 1300 655 06.
1300 655 06.
It could change your life.
Hi, I'm Darren McElwain from Air FM Drive. You can tune into my show from 3 to 6 p.m. on 88.0 in Penrith and also on tunein.com. And apparently, we don't throw rocks. Air FM Drive.
Welcome back. You're watching Harmony and Diversity, and we're speaking with Nicole Pryor of St Benedict's Catholic Parish in Burwood. And we're speaking about the RCIA. With the RCIA, because you're following people through week by week in this particular case, and with people, between 5 and 10 people at any particular time, you must have seen some changes in people, some interesting developments. Would you like to illuminate some of those?
Yes, I think generally speaking, perhaps the thing that you see common to all is that build-up of excitement and realizing that no question is sort of not allowed or doesn't lead to an exciting answer, things like that. You find that people always grow in an excitement for their faith, and that love for it, and the love to share, and the desire to inquire.
And you mentioned in the previous segment about the fact that oftentimes the parish priest is available during those sessions. Does that enrich the sessions? Do people respond to that?
Absolutely, and I think it's one of those things of, because it is so multifaceted, the more opinions you get, the more viewpoints you hear, the more, and I mean certainly our parish priest or somebody like that is far more learned than I am. I'm the individual who's lived it, loves it, practices it, wants to share it, but I'm not the theologian and the historian and the person that a parish priest might be, the person who can come and give so much other feeding. So, and then we'd have visitors, people who come and share a little bit of their viewpoint or their aspect of the faith, or just gives other dimensions.
Yeah, so it really, by bringing in visitors, you're really attempting to enrich and explain and develop. So coming into the Catholic faith, the RCIA, other Christian religions don't have that. Why do you think they don't?
Well, I can't speak for them and say why they don't. I think I must just perhaps accent a bit further why we do, because we feel that we are just members of this one faith. So if becoming a Catholic, it's not me standing alone being a Catholic and my belief system. It's being a part of this greater whole. So that's the whole thing, is we are becoming members of a family. And on being members of the family, there's that relationship in all, and we part of that whole. And so we need that time of initiation, that time of getting to know before we commit. And
it's almost like a marriage, isn't it?
Absolutely, absolutely. It's
so with the people in the catechumens, do you see this awareness of the family, awareness of the impending wedding, if you like?
Yes.
The awareness of the mysticism of mystical components of Lent, the crucifixion.
Yes.
That grows in people. You can see that the awareness is lighting up.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. I think, like all relationships, all subjects you might study, the more you know, the more you become excited about it. The more is revealed to you, the more conviction you have, and the more relationships with people who share that faith grow. And I think what lots of Catholics, those ones who might be sponsors and come along to church, think that it's my little faith and I can attend and go and do what suits me. We realise that it is this community, this belief, and that we can't hang on to anything. It's that constant giving that allows us to be this channel, this instrument. It's being our part of that community that allows me to put into practice my faith and hence be fed.
In the feeding, what sort of texts do you use? You clearly would use quotations from the Bible, but is there anything else that any other Catholic doctrine?
Yes. Well, there is so much, and so many people have written their little books and DVDs and things that cover that faith. But there's a man who first spoke to me about RCIA, and as they say, there's no set way of doing it, because every situation is unique. Everybody's knowledge is different. Everybody's level of faith, personality, it's different every time. You know, that the painting will never be the same. It's it's a following one by one step at a time that gives it its shape and its colour. But we have got those fundamentals, which is our Catholic faith, which we've got our book of the Catechism of the Catholic Church, which has little answers to every little question. What is it I believe? There's the fact in it. So we do a little bit of that questioning there, but we've always got those things to refer to. So we've got our basic Bible, what our Christian faith is all about, and beyond that, the Catechism of the Catholic Church, what that's all about. And we learn those little bits of it in that short period of time through that cycle of our year's activities in the Mass.
Yes. Yes, the Catechism itself is a fairly detailed document, isn't it?
It is. So whatever your question might be, whether it's on sort of life itself, or what this Eucharist might be, or what our belief of saints might be, or marriage, or absolutely any question, the Catholic viewpoint of that question that people ask in life is in this book.
I'll bet there's one thing in there that's not in there, and that's the meaning of time, because we've just run out of that again.
Never enough.
No, there isn't. Thank you so much, Nicole, for that explanation of the RCIA. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next week.
Baha'u'llah, Shanti Om, Allahu
Here are the current weather readings for Melbourne, Geelong, Ballarat, Shepparton, Bendigo and Echuca on the MELfeed video weather wall. It includes tomorrow's forecast and expected minimum temperatures in these areas overnight. This is the MELfeed video weather wall on a different sort of TV. MELfeed Video.
We reckon one of the most powerful things in the world is this sausage, because a sausage can do just about anything. It helps people to walk, see and hear, supports families after fire, drought and flood, and even helps plant trees in our community. Our sausages are working to cure cancer, helping farmers in tough times, and connecting people who are new to a community. And at the same time that they're doing all that, they're nurturing the leaders of tomorrow while building friendships that last a lifetime. Yep, these humble sausages are more powerful than you can believe. They're working wonders in our community. And at Lions, so can you. Lions Australia, we serve more than sausages.
For interesting and informative interviews, join us for NAT Chat Monday nights at 8. Live streamed from Echuca each week, this is MELfeed Video, a different sort of TV.
This is sort of a poem that started off from something really true. It's called I Meant to Say Free-Range Chicken. I asked my daughter to, she said, do you want me to get anything from the shops? And I said, yeah. I meant to say free-range chicken, but this is what happened. I asked, where's the whole meal chicken? She said, that's down aisle 3, past the organic pots and pans, and the free-range celery. Across from the Heart Smart cigarettes, the wholemeal chook is there. I said, no need to take the piss, I'll find a bird elsewhere.
As we've just heard John McKelvey, I'll start at Scotland. In 1997 I went to Ireland and Scotland, more Ireland than Scotland, but anyway, I made it up to the Isle of Skye. This is a poem called The Isle of Mists. The Coolins are shrouded in cloud as the Portree bus passes. The peat bog, it's the same as 1,000 years ago. The mist changes this landscape. Pious birds sit atop the crags. Dozing Highland cattle ignore us. West Scotland's rugged crags impress this traveller. The compass spins, the metal in the Coolins, a mystery train. You don't know where you're going. Juliet suggests a pub crawl through Portree, starting at the Mexican bar after I just got off the bus from Dunvegan Castle. With us there's 3 Germans from Stuttgart, one a bagpiper, the noise from his bagpipes too melodic. Where's that guttural sound? Last drinks at the Caledonian, it's nearly midnight. The publican urges the 30 Glasgow dock workers to leave. The police need to enforce the midnight curfew. The light alters before your eyes on Skye. It's like a Delacroix painting.
This is called Catch. On fishing trips, my father liked to have a splash of rum on his Wheaties. The universal additive, he declared. But he never drank when he was out fishing. That was serious. In the garage after work, he'd be cleaning the ruby red Swedish casting reel with too many parts, binding new runners with glossy coloured cottons and honey marine varnish, making moulds and casting lead sinkers, spray painting lures and splicing wire leaders for the big toothy ones. The old wharf isn't there anymore, but the smell of a road in summer has me back in thongs, hurrying down that hill with the smooth bubbling tar. This wharf is dangerous, keep off. Underlined by a studded ball and chain of iron washed up from the war, from the time when the steamships still ran along the coast. The whole place was rust and rotted timbers, but we'd step through the hole in the fence next to Jack, who only fished for shadowy luderick close to the rocks, a piece of bright green sea lettuce at the end of a black float. I tiptoed round the holes to find a spot. Leaning over the edge, dizzy at the drop, I held on to a massive polished tree, then cast out. For yellowtail, trevally, garfish, a little leather jacket, a blue swimmer crab, or a squid on a jig, all angry eye and black bile. I was proud that I could tie good knots and catch my dinner. I tried to kill them quickly, cut their throats, not let them drown slowly in air. But I was at the bottom of the food chain, and my father wanted them for live bait. With a hook through the back and a twist of wire, they would swim out to sea to lure kingfish, John Dory, barracuda. They leapt out of the water chasing my little fish. That was the catch. And fried in butter with lemon. Nothing tasted better. Thanks.
I'll switch to a poem I wrote about the person I stayed with in Donegal, a place called Burt. It's called Herself. From Buncrana to Carndonna, via the gap of Mamore, you drove me, Rosie, your lyrical speech that sung to my heart, cruising your peninsula. Rosie, you drank Spanish red, Australian red, California red, any red would do. Pat's Tullamore Dew under the sink, Kilkenny in the fridge door, a hot water bottle for your back. You dream of pink rosellas and white cockatoos, of coming back to Australia for spaghetti carbonara and Rutherglen red, a dining table with linen. You hated that year in Dublin in a street near Glasnevin Cemetery, but you don't burn toast anymore while talking about men dead in the bogside. Your autistic son tips a beer down the toilet. He knows your reaction. You talk to him, leave the red on the mantle as the peat smokes in the Ulster summer twilight. Tullamore Dew under the sink, the single malt Bushmills under the mattress, your neighbour Kathleen's mulled Jamisons. You shed it all, Rosie.
The sleeper awakens on the soil of reality, on the beach of life, on the edge of forever, and stretches out his hand, reaching for connection with an eternity of longing, of desire for union, of merging with other, an embracing of being, of heart, of mind, of flesh, a merging of atoms, and the spaces in between, and the unseen reality inside the space in between, until all is interchangeable, heart, mind, flesh, spirit, soul, will and reality, part of a whole which can't be described, which stretches beyond and beneath and between the countless grains of sand on the beach of life, beyond, beneath and between the countless stars above and the countless moments of time from one end of the universe to the other, from one end of this universe to the other, and all the countless other universes in between in creation's imagination. And the sleeper awakens and stretches out his hand and goes further.
We always liked to play chess together ever since we were little. He was always a better player than me. When I was diagnosed with Pompei's disease in 2002, I was told that my life expectancy was going to be poor, and my condition deteriorated rapidly before I was able to start treatment. My brother and I both suffered from the disease. But now I consider myself the fortunate one. My brother spent the last 2 years of his life in hospital. He didn't have access to this wonderful treatment that should be available to everybody. The world just keeps getting smaller as you progressively lose the ability to walk. So your world shrinks, and then gradually you realise, I haven't been to the supermarket in 6 months. I'm 59 now, and every year I can see my daughter grow up is a blessing. I believe my treatment's made this possible.
To learn more and help those living with Pompei's disease, register at australianpompey.com.
Hi, I'm Lane Beachley. Australians have recycled enough printer cartridges to cover Bondi Beach 12 times. That's kept 11,000 tonnes of valuable resources out of landfill. Drop your used original cartridges into the special boxes at participating retail outlets, and they'll be turned into new products, from pens to road surfaces. Help us keep up the good work. Find out more at cartridges.planetark.org.
Hello. I'd like you to put your hand up to the screen and place it on mine. Now, if you drive when you've been taking drugs and you kill someone, this will be as close as you get to your family for a very long time.
Now on MELfeed Video, here are the latest Monday Tats Lotto results just drawn a short time ago under government supervision. All results shown are subject to confirmation. We hope that these numbers brought you a little bit of luck tonight. If not, there's always next week. Stay tuned to MELfeed Video for more great programs this evening.
This is a story from the records of the Grand Historian of China, Sima Qian, about events that took place about 60 years before his birth, so possibly just within living memory. Oh, and please forgive the mispronunciation. Dinner at Goose Gate, 206 BCE. Hungmen Rhapsody. You may have heard of the first emperor of Qin, how he unified China, built a blood-stained wall to keep what is out and what is in, how he burnt all the books and buried all the scholars who questioned him. You may remember his terracotta warriors defending his imperial majesty's tomb, but not remember all the rebel brothers who brought his eternal dynasty down, Chen Shi the first, Xiang Yu second, and Liu Bang. Now Chen Shi was murdered under Second Emperor. Xiang Yu murdered Second Emperor's army. 200,000 surrendered and were slaughtered. Second Emperor was murdered. Su Ying, his successor, submitted to the magistrate of Pei, Qin's first invader. And now within the passes of Qin, the magistrate of Pei has 100,000 men. Outside the passes, Xiang Yu has 400,000. The magistrate of Pei treats with deference the people of the Qin capital, Xianyang. The magistrate of Pei is called to report on all of his actions, justify his procedure, as Zhao Wushang accuses him of revolt against Xiang Yu, and sage Fan Zheng is sure that his switch from libertine to Taoist is an assault. So, with 100,000 against 400,000 in fright, the magistrate of Pei comes to a friendly dinner. His right-hand Chang Liang had once saved the life of Xiang Po, Xiang Yu's youngest uncle, China being now Xiang Yu's by default and by strife. Xiang Yu and Xiang Po sit facing east as hosts. Fan Zheng, as lord and teacher, faces south. The magistrate of Pei is facing north, white as ghosts, the two of these, and Chang Liang shows his worth by facing west and serving their requests. Fan Zheng thrice quietly jerks his pendant, broken neck-wise, for Xiang Yu's eyes alone. Xiang Yu's blind to that. Maybe his attendant, Xiang Chuang, Xiang Yu's younger cousin, might do the deed which has to be done. Xiang Chuang proposes to present a sword dance. His sword, ever closer to the magistrate of Pei, is only held off by Xiang Po's advance in a counter dance. Xiang Liang runs away to find the magistrate's bodyguard, Fan Kuai. Fan Kuai, once a dog butcher, bursts into the tent. "Who is our guest?" asks Xiang Yu. Chang Liang presents the magistrate's chariot offsider. "Excellent," says King Xiang. "Wine for his presence." Fan Kuai bows, then drinks the wine as he stands. "Give him some pork." They gave it him raw. Of his own shield he ate with his sword. King Xiang Yu asking, "Can you drink more?" "More?" asks Fan Kuai. "Could I avoid death if you offer, whatever you pour?" Qin Empire was tiger and wolf-hearted, killing as if, punishing as if, they could never finish what they had started. The magistrate of Pei has received no fief for conquering Qin. Aren't you Qin again itself? "Sit," says Xiang Yu, nothing else to say. The magistrate quietly goes to the toilet, beckoning out his servitor, Fan Kuai. King Xiang sends Chen Ping, commandant, but Qiang Lang also exits the tent. The magistrate of Pei says, "I made no excuse. What can I do?" "They're the chop block and cleaver," replies Fan Kuai. "And we're meat. What's the use?" Says Chang Liang, "If I stay and you leave here, what gifts have you thought to give here?" Says the magistrate, "A pair of white jade discs for Xiang Yu and wine cups for Fan Seng. If you are willing to take these risks, give us time to reach camp, you may present them." The magistrate and Fan Kuai make a bolt to Pashang. Qiang Liang re-enters the tent to apologize. The magistrate has had rather too much to drink. Anticipating your majesty's reprimands, he decides to let me offer, hoping that you will not think the worse of his incapacity, these tokens of proprieties. Xiang Yu takes the discs to place on his mat. Fan Seng takes the wine cups to smash with his sword. "There's no planning with idiots," he says, "and that's that. The magistrate of Pei will steal our world, and we'll all be his before that day is out." So, the magistrate has executed traitor Cao Wushang, and Xiang Yu, unopposed now, advancing with alacrity, has butchered and enslaved the 1,000,000 people of Xianyang, murdering the king Zhu Ying, and set on fire the city. "For 3 months burnt the fires of Qin," says poetic history. But Xiang Yu gave the magistrate a fief down south in Han, while Xiang himself went east as hegemon, murdering his erstwhile chief, the king of Chu. The new king of Han retrieves what's left within the passes, attacks and retreats. It certainly wasn't a foregone conclusion, or so I think. Liu Bang had the worst of the action till Chen Ping, commandant, remember him? Having switched sides, has devised a plan to sow dissension between Xiang Yu and Fan Seng, which might be the end of it, in Confucian terms, having worked. King Xiang, with no advisor, when forced to a place of no return, no counselor helping him cross the river, fell victim to swords of the force majeure. Chang Liang gained at least a marquisate. Fan Kuai, of course, a generalship. Chen Ping eventually was prime minister. And as for the magistrate of Pei, Liu Bang, his given name, speak in a whisper, Liu Bang, his hard-drinking, womanizing, imperial majesty was gratefully acclaimed the son of heaven, Gaozi, exalted ancestor of the Han dynasty, naming the heartland people up to even now, ruling the land for centuries.
For the first time in many years, Northern Access TV's general interest magazine show, etc., will be seen again on MELfeed.video. The show covered many interesting topics around Melbourne and is well worth seeing again. It all starts next week on MELfeed.video, so join us from next week for etc. on MELfeed.video.
Australia Day means a time for reflection in one way, where we're really lucky to live in such a country, and it's really an opportunity to connect with people who are really close to you and important in your life. I hope and wish for a society that truly respects everybody in every shape and form. On Australia Day, I'll be actually at the tennis, and I'll be sharing that with my friend. Doesn't get much better than that, really.
Get together on Australia Day. Go to australiaday.org.au to find out how.
It's easy for things to go wrong around water.
more so if you can't swim.
It's great seeing kids confident in the water and enjoying themselves. An important part of keeping kids safer around water is learning to swim.
There are over 600 registered swimming schools that run the Australian Unity Learn to Swim program. To find one, go to the Swim Australia website.
Tick, 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 fashion.
Tick, 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 fun.
Tick, 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 food.
Tick, 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 festivals.
All make up 15 fabulous minutes.
In a half-hour special.
Presented to you by Jacqueline and Steve.
Every week. Time's up.
I write in a particular poetic form. I was first introduced to it in 95, and I'll start with what started it all. I love boring things. It actually started from someone accusing me of being boring at a poetry thing one day. I think it was Grant McCracken. So I thought, oh, well, you've got to take what people throw at you and turn it around. And I love boring things. I don't like boring things, I love them. I eat Hawaiian pizza, munch on broccoli stems, wearing only black clothes. I eat Hawaiian pizza, watching Pacific Drive at midnight, wearing only black clothes with my 2 cats with personality disorders. Watching Pacific Drive at midnight, arguing with my lover on purpose, with my 2 cats with personality disorders, lying under the doona all day semi-depressed. Arguing with my lover on purpose, I say I love the missionary position, lying under the doona all Sunday semi-depressed. I love a house with a mortgage. I say I love the missionary position, listening to Elvis sing, Don't Be Cruel. I love a house with a mortgage in Melbourne suburbia. Listening to Elvis sing Don't Be Cruel, I drink champagne in bed in Melbourne suburbia, eating chocolates without shame. I drink champagne in bed, watching Jimmy You Dirty Rat Cagney, eating chocolates without shame when Roy Orbison sings Love Hurts. Watching Jimmy You Dirty Rat Cagney, I eat porridge at 2 a.m. in winter when Roy Orbison sings Love Hurts. I eat Vegemite on toast for breakfast. I eat porridge at 2 a.m. in winter, munch on broccoli stems. I eat Vegemite on toast for breakfast. I don't like boring things. I love them.
This is called Fragment 34, That Time. That time is coming soon. I see it in your eyes. And it's there in the way you stay to clean up the house while I go out to pick up supplies alone. And it's there in the way that you overprotect your phone. And your face is still so sweet and babyish innocent, showing nothing of the reeking hot corruption that you fight so desperately, the grey dusty worm gnawing your innards deep inside. And it's hard to forgive you for what you are, harder still to forgive you for what you are trying to pretend to yourself you have not done and are not going to do to me. But one day I hope perhaps I'll make that sweet exhalation. I could imagine us living on some island somewhere in the New Hebrides, cold, rain-washed, blustery, in some rock-roofed hut we've built up on foundations we've unearthed which had been built in that place by ancient people who endured those same fresh breezes 10,000 years ago. The gales and rushing rain and lashing rain that clamour outside while we too huddle around a fire. And when the rage ceases and the pale yellow sun wanders slowly through the distant pale blue sky, I would stay at home and make things out of wood and stone. And you could walk the cliffs and watch the seabirds wheel in the drifting airs far above the crashing sea. And perhaps we would remain unwheeled, unaffected, and perhaps I'd like that more. But the great black man-shadow of your dreams is the great black man-shadow of my nightmares. Ladonia Creek, always imminent, always unaffectable. And now we have lost faith in each other, and you say that I am not the man I seem to be. Well, I think, but don't say, that sadly you are the woman I thought you were and told myself you would not be. But for now, you are saying that I make the bed too hollow, and that if I regard your health I will let you sleep alone. And you've ceased trying to hide the emptiness in your eyes, so I know that the end is rushing down upon us. And our love is a collection of movies, watched a few times, but then stashed in the back of a cupboard. And when you get them out, you find that they somehow have accumulated a greasy film and that they jam the machine, which stays frozen at a scene of us laughing and then pixelates into overlapping squares of nothing. I know I will try to resist that imminent end, and when it comes, my eyes will remain barren, yet I will almost die, while you cry and cry again, and then press me in your loose-leaf folder of life's experiences, which you will keep in some drawer away from the light. And occasionally you will pull out that album and turn over the pages and smile and convince yourself that you remember. But actually, you will have forgot.
They travelled over the sea, one from the smokelands of a working-class town, the other a refugee. Seeking a new life, into the harsh wild beauty of the bush they went, this man and his wife. With them their child and one soon to be. The past in their suitcases, the future in dreams. He built a dwelling, she washed in a waterhole. One stared in wonder, that one was me. One full moonlit night, the mother awoke to a dream full of singing. The elders abroad, it wasn't a dream. The child's dreams were dreams of ghosts and witches and full moon. But their black faces were not scary, they smiled. We settled in virgin bushland, our rootless roots planted for a time. We only took what we needed and gave back our respect and love. I hope the spirits understood.
Hi again, coming up next is 15 Fabulous Minutes with Jacqueline and Steve, and then a special episode of Transport's A Distant Delight, the third in the series of special episodes just for MELfeed, and then we'll close up for tonight. So thanks for joining us again this week. Enjoy the last two programs and we'll see you again next week.
If you choose to drive when overtired,
you could ruin lives.
Someone else's, your family's, or your own.
Choose a power nap instead.
The right choice could save someone's life.
Proud supporters of safety in our community.
GMCU and Southern Cross Austereo.
Multi-faith and interfaith is all part of harmony in diversity. Every Monday night at 9. Live streamed from Echuca each week, this is MELfeed Video, a different sort of TV.
going to do something a little bit different this time. We're actually going to head into 101 Collins Street to see an exhibition by Lynn Plummer. Just come into this impressive building here. Don't you just love these revolving doors? You could go around and around all day long. Oops, almost. Quite an impressive building here, and it pretty much says about the exhibition that we're going to see, and hopefully we'll meet the artist. I'm a little late actually. The opening was a few days ago, so let's just go see. The only problem with these big buildings is you've got to try and find the place, and I think one could get quite lost in here. I feel like I'm in a Greek Colosseum. Here we go. The thing is, the exhibition's actually closed at the moment, so everybody's gone home. Could be a bit eerie. So we'll just see if she's in there. Door's open, we're in luck. Oh, well, there we have Lynn's name on the wall. And we'll go have a look at some of the artworks before we meet her. It's very eerie in here, and it's very lonely in here because it's actually closed. But you've fortunately allowed me to be in here to see your exhibition. And how long have you been working on this?
For the last 6 months or so. I did actually start some of the works earlier than that, but solidly for the last 6 months, every night and every weekend.
So what inspires you to start a collection such as this?
Well, I've been working on this this concept now, looking at ceremony and the relationship between ceremony and instinct since about mid-80s. Yeah. And
what must go on in your mind here? Enlighten us all.
Well, this particular exhibition is looking at how the people that have been involved in the decoration of the garments for high ceremony have not had a voice. There's a language that's been built up through the way that they've made the works, the way they've worked with the lace and the way they've worked with the embroidery. I'm also using the idea, which you can see on the chasuble down there, of the garments of high ceremony being a metaphor for skin, and that skin is memory. And so you could say it's slightly akin to tattooing.
You've used a lot of almost flesh-like textures in some of these things, which are quite you don't really want to touch them. They look wet still, and you've got wet hair in between them and things like that. What makes you create these artworks?
Well, over a long period of time I've been, considering this idea of skin as memory, and I lived in New Guinea for quite a while, and so I had that contact with sacrifice, with tattooing, scarification as part of your place in the society. So I'm really quite interested in the empowered initiates in ceremonies and the unempowered initiates.
Does it become an obsession at a point?
Oh, I think it's quite obsessive sort of work.
Now, you've got a piece here behind me now, and it looks like something that you wouldn't really want to stand too close to or near enough touch. Would you encourage people to touch your artwork, or is that a taboo?
With this show, it's probably a little bit more difficult, but I have actually told the guards in other shows, like at the Queensland Art Gallery, not to stop people from touching the wood.
Do you think most people's reaction is quite shocked? Because you're also mixing the religion factor in there as well with, of course, your art piece, the Madonna.
Yes, yes.
What are you trying to do? Shaking up the world here.
Yes, well, I am trying to challenge the viewer, and I'm actually looking at the three works that have got the women in, images of the women that shows women as they're stereotyped. And then the other ones actually bring in the idea of sacrifice, the idea of sexuality and sensuality into the notion of ceremony and ritual. That they're part of it. There's a ceremony that's like this, and there's an underbelly ceremony that's always been keeping the people. Sometimes I have nicknames for them.
What's the nickname for this one?
That's tarred and feathered.
Tarred and feathered. I wonder why. You've actually used the feathers?
Yes, yes.
And pins as well?
Yes. So they're actually embroidery pins. So anybody who was involved in that, or quilting pins involved in that process would know that, but they also, that's the way they pin you open when they're operating on you.
Okay, and what are the leads trying to...
So we're looking at thread as the line, and thread as becoming making a sign, like writing, and also threads can be quite like sinews and veins in your body.
Which they look like.
So they're metamorphosing from thread to bodily pieces.
We're now joined by Diana, and what's your role with the gallery?
I'm a curator director of this gallery, and the gallery represents a number of artists, and I aim to show a range of contemporary art practice with a diversity and a pretty spontaneous and spectacular exhibition year. And part of this visual arts that I show has cutting edge work, as Lynn Plummer's exhibition is shows.
How do you find these people? They come to you, or...?
Yes, I'm lucky enough to have the gallery sought out as an exhibition venue and for representation. And I'm very pleased to represent a range of exciting, emerging mid-career artists.
And how many exhibitions do you have a year?
It varies, probably between 12 to 17 exhibitions. Sometimes the space is broken up into two, where I show two different artists at the same time, but I usually select it so that both artists' work is available to the general public and to academics and so on, so that it provides a lot of energy.
What do you think of the artwork today?
Pretty amazing. When you say...
You've probably seen it all.
I have, yes. It's a range of quite interesting works. Lynn actually and Rodney Brown had and the sound was worked out specifically for the site, and I think it's utilised the gallery's flexibility to the utmost.
Fantastic. So we'll probably pop in if you are ever in town, 101 Collins Street. Come down and check out an exhibition here. I'm sure you'd be glad to greet everybody.
Thank you. Thank you. I mean, this one here and one on the other side of the gallery have illuminated manuscript type lettering under there. So you can actually sort of trace through that idea of the churches and the state's edicts that come through their ceremonies, and then on top of that you've got this other messages that are going on, but it's all sort of flesh as well.
Do you think the church holds you in favour of this or against you in this?
What I want people to do is actually question the sorts of things that we've accepted. So I'm sort of unpackaging it in a way and sort of saying, let's deconstruct this and let's see what it makes up, and are we accepting things without thinking?
There you have it. Oh, they're almost famous last words there. The controversy, another one as well, which looks quite wet and sticky. I mean, How do we, I mean, I'm shocked. Some people are. I'm sure they're watching now going, oh my God, what are you going to work on next?
Well, the thing is that you're just standing there then, and I think that your head was shaped inside the shape of the mitre.
Well, that's how it all started, didn't it? I actually pushed through one of these originally, but you know.
That's right.
The full birth factor.
This is also the bishop's mitre, so it's the shape. It's like a bishop's mitre as well.
Don't ever have an exhibition in Rome, you'll be seriously in trouble. Obviously you're going to be doing other exhibitions.
Yes, I've got a piece going in a show called Wedlock, which is going to be on at a gallery in Toowoomba at University of Southern Queensland, and that's going to be looking at the philosophy of weddings, and yes, it's quite an interesting piece, and I'm looking at the wedding gown in that one, and so it'll be a long draped piece, and it has writing that you can read on that one, which I took straight out of the...
So you finish one and you jump to another. Where do you get the time to do all this? Because you also study and lecture in between and everything else.
Yes, well, it's getting a little bit... it is difficult. I'm head of painting at Otago School of Art, and they're obsessed, and you want to say something, well, you find the time.
Yeah, when you spare time, if you've got nothing better to do, you can create one of these. It only takes about, what, this one took...
150 hours.
Only 150 hours, there you go.
That's just the making, not the rest of it.
I mean, this one, obviously, you've used little opal beads and everything here.
All glass beads, the whole thing is, except for the faces, which are writing again, or simulated writing, and that's done with lacquer.
Is incredible. I mean, if you have a close-up look of just the detail in that alone. I mean, that's pretty painstaking.
Yes, yeah.
You're probably glad that it's actually a little one.
I was when I was working on it.
Do you do like one piece at a time, or you do several?
I actually work on all of them.
I'm Jacqueline Shields, and today we're talking about your future, that's right, and of course your future in the palm of your hand. And I'm joined by a man who can basically tell us what's contained in our palm. That's Peter Pifko. How are you?
I'm fine, Jackie. I've been doing it for nearly 20 years. I'm talking about astrology and palmistry for more than 12 years. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, we've got some very pointed questions to ask you. Now, you're quite multi-skilled, actually. Astrology, palmistry, tarot, and pranic healing.
Like Reiki.
Yeah. So when you look at someone's hand, what do you see?
Well, depending, I can see the color, the shape of the hand. What I see is like a focus on personality, on the weakness and the strength, and I think how I can use it to motivate a person to achieve a goal. If a person is strong and committed, then it's much easier. But if
I'm just wondering, actually, you can read people's palms.
Yeah.
What about animals?
Not yet.
Do you read the right hand or the left hand?
I read both. Mm-hmm. Because I correlate. Usually if the left and right are have the same shapes and the same things, that usually tells me that the person hasn't achieved much in life on his or her own. The person is dependent on his family or background. Whereas a person who has different amounts and different shapes in both hands, that person has developed a little bit.
What about because of course reading palms all about the lines on the hand.
Not the lines, the fingers, the mounts, the fingers. Like I'm looking at your Mount of Venus, and it's very prominent. So that tells me that you are very passionate, dynamic. And because one of the ends here goes away, that's a travel line. So you like to travel, you like to travel overseas, and you've got lots of energy, and you're very also receptive to other people. So I can say that. And on the top of this is a good rhythm.
This knuckle bit happening.
Yeah, this knuckle. That you may be musical, but you really like music and art. So that tells me something about your personality, and how much energy you have, and how much power you have. to finish what you started.
So it's not just the lines of the hand that's important?
No.
So Peter, I've actually been approached by a few losers recently with regard to, you know, relationships, and I haven't accepted any of them, and I'm just wondering, when am I going to find the man of my dreams?
It's not easy because you've got special lines of disappointment. So this is your
Oh.
line, and the lines crossing.
That's disappointing.
Not disappointing. It means that, you know, life is not easy sometimes. But the card, you know, the card line is also slightly broken, so it's also, you know,
broken heart.
Little bit of broken heart as well. But then the line overlaps, so don't worry. There is a possibility for you.
Just around the corner. A slim chance? What is that possibility? That sounds a bit dicey, a bit not possible. Is it more?
Hands, actually, I must say.
No, you also have, you know, a few lines of union that that tell me that, you know, that love is important for you.
Very.
To share your love and happiness.
Give me high five. Give me my future. My lines are pretty dominant, aren't they? I always thought I had a really good palm.
Yes.
Minus the calluses.
Yeah, you have a very strong determination, and you know, your thumb is very strong, so that means you're very logical, and you want to be in charge. At work, you know, you need more responsibilities, but also more power with that combination. But it's a little bit open here, so you're also generous and helpful. You're not narrow-minded.
But how do you know it's open? By the flexibility, or
flexibility of the top, because this is your will.
Yeah.
And with this open like that, you give and receive everything. You're not just taker with this combination.
Always a giver.
And at the beginning of your life, you were very sensitive and close to your family and shy. Later on, the line breaks away a little bit. What's your age right now?
32. No, you tell me.
No, 32. Oh, see, your line of destiny is still strong, but it's another one started. So somehow, big changes in your big changes in
because there's a gap.
Yeah, because there's a gap. So the changes, but there is no danger because they're overlapping. The line of destiny tells me about your motivation to achieve success in life. And
so I've got a window period here that I can do anything I want.
No, you've already started doing good stuff. So the special
okay.
line, this is special line here, adds and supports your
that's
development.
age.
Yeah. You've got lots of lines here, so you dream about travel. And you see all those lines here, have a great imagination. So because of that, you need to work somewhere. I've got the same amount.
Could I use moisturizer?
Pardon?
Could I use a little bit of moisturizer and get rid of that, or not?
No, don't worry about it.
No?
This amount here makes you slightly, highly imaginative and receptive. So
palm reading has got a long history. It goes way back. So where did it start from?
It started probably in ancient Greece, but before that it was, you know, present in ancient India or Tibet or China. So when you think about it, you will see that there are lots of different systems. However, only you know, they were focusing on science, you know, special science, and because of that they used to make mistakes because they were not looking at at the whole hand, and they were not researching it, you know. Whereas right now people can see it and correct their mistakes, and it was more up to date. So
what do you mean? So you say that modern technology has assisted us to read palms?
Yes. Some doctors, some psychologists, some doctors read palms as well.
What does it mean? Now we're going to find out the basics, what you need to know to look at your own palm to tell your own destiny. Now he's going to draw some lines on me and pick out some of the main features here.
Well, starting from here, that's your heart line. So this tells me about how much love you have, and if you need a long-term relationship or short one. If you're receptive in love, or you're just interested in work.
So the longer the line, the better, or
no? If the line is long and deep, that means love is important, and you can be an artist as well. Sexual, you know.
You have to get them into bed first.
Yeah, but this tells me about your sexual energy, because this is your Venus and Mars together, and lifeline. It's quite wide, so it means, you know, your libido is very strong.
My libido is very strong. That's just the calluses on that, actually.
No,
this is, well, the more plumper it is, the better the sex drive, or?
Yes, it usually it has to be strong, and not too soft. If it's very soft, that means you are an orphan victim and a dreamer. You cannot. You can start a business, but you cannot finish it. And in your case, it's quite tough. So it means you're dynamic, proactive, and sexually, and in many different ways.
Peter, have you ever used your knowledge for your own benefit as far as making sure that... Have you met the person of your dreams? Through reading their palm? Or is that dangerous?
Not so much, no. What I can say, I can quickly know that someone doesn't fit. No.
That's one of the perks of your ability, isn't it, really?
Yes, it is. But it doesn't solve my problems because I have to work on myself. So to really improve your lifestyle and love life, you need to change some pattern, you know? You need to realize that's what you're doing. You are in charge of it. And then if you change it, the special lines of effort can grow. That means that you, instead of being narrow-minded and a victim, you become, more open-minded.
There's stress lines on the thumb and the top of the fingers, which have got little cracks everywhere.
Yeah.
Isn't it just age or not?
They may disappear. They will disappear later if you take care of your health or if you change a job. Or someone. So this is okay. I'm just telling you that some of those things may actually go away and disappear.
Fantastic.
You change your attitude, and that's.
So I can get rid of those little creases above on the top. This is the headline, and this tells us when it works.
Thinking.
Thinking.
Your thinking processes.
I'm a dreamer.
Yes, you are, because it goes here. But you have a difference. You see, if we look into your hands, you have a difference, there are some slight differences between your hands. So that means that you've changed something in your destiny. You're not.
Many career changes.
Yeah. So that's very good. And because the line is, goes on an angle like this, that gives imagination. This is the amount of imagination and intuition. And you're drawing lots of ideas for your art, for your work.
Our TV show, yeah.
From that mount.
Fantastic.
This mount is your dreamer part.
Well, that one's almost going off the palm completely.
It's very strong, so that's why you've got artistic talents. People who don't have that, they cannot imagine.
It might be in your hand, but you can change your destiny.
You can change your destiny, yeah. It's very difficult for those people because they are caught in it and they don't have time to relax, to get back into their own personality and become more resilient. Whereas if they stop it for a while and start reflecting on it, they may change it.
Have you ever read anybody's palm and you've thought, oh my God, this person's a complete loser?
Yeah, but I cannot tell this to a person. I have to break it nicely.
You say, oh my God, this person's got no motivation, they're lazy, they've got no luck of finding anyone in their life. How do you put it? What's a tactful way of doing that?
90% of people that they may have that problem. So
90%?
90%. So only, not necessarily, but what I'm saying is that only 10% of people do something like you doing, something that they like doing, and they feel passion for it. So do you understand what I mean? Could be like a passionate artist, passionate musician,
Nobody
anything.
uses the talent.
Yeah. So using your talent in the right direction. I can see that you are passionate about whatever you're doing, and that's why what you're doing comes across as funny, easy, and lively.
So what? Yeah, we're actually getting to the end of the show.
Oh, really? No, you knew that, didn't you, Peter?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
Now, have you got any tips for anybody out there with regard to should they get their palm read, should they get their astrology chart read, should they get their tarot cards read? I mean, there's so many ways to get your future told, and we're all still searching. So what's the best way?
The best way is go by word of mouth.
Tea leaves?
Whatever you do, go to a psychic fair or something, you can meet some good people there as well. So,
how do you know if someone's a psychic, whether they've actually got any skill or not, or whether they've just got the gift of the gab?
I can, because I look at someone's hand and can see some developers.
But the general public, how do we know?
Not being ripped off.
It's very difficult. You can go somewhere and believe me, the person can have everything set up. You go to a psychic fair and you see people and they dress very fancy. You go to them and they all they change.
So avoid people with crystal balls.
No, don't avoid. But I'm just saying, be discerning. If someone says that a person is good, then you have.
Word of mouth is always the best way.
The best way in many different ways. So that's why I get challenged. Some people come to me and don't tell me their age, they like, you know, so I get challenged.
Okay, so it's another fabulous 15 minutes wrapped up. Bit of a high five from you, Steve. And yeah, all for one and one for all. That's the Three Musketeers. See you next week. Bye.
Bye.
I didn't think this could happen in Toowoomba. And then I saw it on TV that night. It really opened my eyes.
Whenever the community comes to us and says we need your help, we do whatever we can to assist.
It is a great feeling to be able to help your neighbours, to be able to help your community.
Each Lions member and each Lions club in different parts of the country, we're totally different. But we have core values that are the same. They remain the same for any Lions member and any Lions club anywhere in not just Australia but around the world.
Anything that you can think of that you want to do and support and help, Lions are doing it right now somewhere in this world.
I think Lions need to tell their story. They need to let people know the amazing things that they do.
The three major streams that we have in Lions are the community service that we do for the public, health and medical research, and the disaster relief.
We're out there to help people. If you love helping people, get out and help them. Join a Lions Club.
We started this project about 20 years ago. All this gear would normally go to the tip. We recycle it and give it to someone less fortunate and where it is needed in the world.
Being a Lion here in Australia means that I can make a difference to my community. But most importantly, it's inspiring other people to get out and be part of their community and make it a safer and a much happier and better place to live.
Childhood cancer, I've always been interested in cancer and small children from the time I first got cancer 30 years ago. Research is an indefinite item. You can't see it, but it helps so much.
I'm here managing the money and the relationships, but other people are out there raising funds and bringing in community support. Without all of us working together, we can't affect change.
2 more extra hands at any function, any working bee, anything we do, 2 more hands can help us raise more funds, can help us serve our community better.
I went to my Lions Club and I said, I got this idea and I think it's a little bit crazy, but I think we could raise some serious money doing it. And it was to run 100 kilometres. And the club said, okay, if you want to do this, whatever you need us to do, we'll be there 100%. And I'm pretty proud to say that together we raised just over $16,000. So we blew the target out of the water, and I think that was due to a lot of the support that I got.
Through my leadership training and all that, I've learned about thinking global and acting local, and Lions Club is definitely that kind of thing. They act within their communities, but the money that they raise can often end up in any corner of the world.
As an individual, I could only do so much, and whilst it was my burning desire to try and help these people, having an organisation such as the Lions family to call upon to support me and those people that were working with me just made it possible for us to achieve so much more.
You know, after the devastation, to come back into the community, you know, you were shattered by what you saw. You know, no police station, no post office, no petrol station, you know, no kindergarten. There was nothing here.
And all that water with an unstoppable...
I don't know that I've ever seen as much as arrived. There were fridges, washing machines, dryers. There was toasters, jugs, just everything.
To be invited to be a part of Lions just opened up a whole new world to me. A world that provided a structured organisation that could see that the hours that I volunteered could achieve so much more.
I think Lions is a wonderful organisation. The people in it have charity in their hearts.
I can go anywhere in this country, see somebody with a Lions badge, walk up to them and say, "Good day, you got a friend."
Never once in my life had I had a group of people where I could go to, say anything, and know that no matter what, they would be there, they would stand by me.
It's the family. That's what we call it. It's the Lions family. Without Lions, I think I'd be lost now because they've been my life.
We work hard, but the most important thing is we have fun.
The fellowship of all the members of the club, the broader community, it's just a tremendous organisation to belong to. You know, I'll be here till I die.
It is extremely rewarding and gratifying to be a part of an organisation that can spread its support so far and wide.
More members means more hands, means more support to the community.
I would encourage everyone just to give it a go and see if it is for them, because the return that you get for giving to others is amazing.
Get out there, do something wonderful, be part of this fantastic organisation.
Live streamed from Echuca each week, this is MELfeed Video, a different sort of TV. Live streamed from Echuca each week, MELfeed Video, a different sort of TV. Live streamed from Echuca each week, MELfeed Video, a different sort of TV.
Okay, Sarah, I'm going to order some pathology tests to see how everything's going.
Half the Australian population had a pathology test last year. That's you or someone you love. 100 tests are performed every minute, delivering vital medical information. From the moment you are born, your healthcare depends on pathology tests. 70% of medical decisions rely on information from pathology tests. Pathology is the engine room of healthcare. One small sample can reveal millions of insights all about you. Pathologists are your doctor's doctor. 25,000 people work to provide doctors with the answers they need to treat you. Australian pathology is world class. We may never meet you, but we see each of you as part of our family. Every minute, 23 Australians find out more about their health.
Good news, Sarah. The results show that everything's okay.
Pathology provides peace of mind.
I rely on Australian pathology.
Sign up online to support Australian pathology.
So, you think you're ready for this?
To take on the world? Why not?
They say there's a chance I could die in a car crash. Maybe even from heart disease. Maybe even skin cancer.
I could die in a work-related accident, or I could die in a fight.
The fact is, the biggest cause of death for men in my age group is suicide.
Please don't let this happen to me.
You can do something. Lifeline believes that suicide is mostly preventable. Help us save lives. Find out what you can do at lifeline.org.au.
MELfeed Video is about to close operations for tonight, but we'll be back with you next Monday evening. In the meantime, here is a selection of programs that will be seen on our next scheduled web stream. You're welcome to visit our website at MELfeed.video for further details of this project. Until next time, from all of us here at MELfeed Video, we wish you a very good night.